Hi people is proud to present the 40 Days 40 Fintechs, an initiative under its Include Everyone program, which is leading the way in advocating for technology that promotes financial inclusivity. Since 2020, we've profiled over 100 fintechs, and our latest season is shining a spotlight on those breaking down digital barriers and transforming lives for the better. Join us in this financial inclusivity revolution, presented with generous support from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Follow hashtag 40 Days 40 Fintechs, hashtag Level 1 Project to learn more and get involved in creating a brighter financial future for all.
The 4 Days for Fintechs initiative continues to shine a spotlight on innovators that are using financial technology to serve the unserved and underserved people in Uganda and across Africa. On day 31 of the annual High People 4 Days for Fintechs initiative, Season 5, we are glad to host a representative from aXiom Zorn. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Kyazze Kakooza, and I am the Executive Director for aXiom Zorn.
Yes, for those that are watching you for the very first time, what do you do and how do you do it?
aXiom Zorn is a data forensic enterprise, and this started out of the love to see this, by seeing so many people who are being turned away because of finance. And one of the things that banks used to give as a reason, I don't want to call it an excuse, is that we do not understand people in the rural areas. We don't know who they are, because you will walk into the bank, they'll say, yes, we have your payslip, we have everything, but we shall be able to give you a loan. But a farmer will walk into the bank, then they'll ask him, where are you coming from? Who are you? How many acres do you have? Where's the evidence? What's the evidence that you produced? So aXiom comes out of the requirement for data to produce services that can help the rural people. And 80% of the Ugandan people is a farmer. So I'll keep saying farmer, but I mean the normal client, which is our rural people. And then we've just discovered 57% of the rest of Ugandans are young people. And then we have about 32% that are below 17 years old. But all these young people have grown up in the rural areas. We have lots of youth who are riding border borders and all that in the city. But most of these are also farming. They have a little land somewhere. So aXiom started, first of all, what does aXiom mean? aXiom means data authenticity, authentic data. And the person who introduced this theorem, who discovered this theorem, is called Zorn. And so when we're starting aXiom about 8 years ago, we said, this would be an ideal name. We looked at so many. At first, it was just aXiom, but adding an aXiom Zorn also gives tribute to the person who discovered authenticity. So that's what aXiom means. But aXiom, in its own stand, is to make sure that there is visibility on everyone, and through that visibility, you can get the different services. One, you can get access to finance, you can get insurance, access to insurance, and that is agriculture insurance and maybe micro health. You can get access to markets, that's market linkages. You can get access to different services, and that's to say, you're able to bulk at the agri-bulkers and merchants. So what aXiom does is to come to you and say, who are you? So we profile you, and we collect about 365 data points. It's from those data points, aXiom has been accredited by CGAP, and our credit scoring matrix was rated as one of the very efficient social credit scores. And what we've done is we've come and partnered with banks, and one of the biggest banks that works with people is one of our biggest partners.
Centenary Bank?
Yes, Centenary Bank. I don't know if I was not sure I was allowed to say.
I mean, I know it's one of the biggest banks for the
people. Yes. So Centenary Bank came, and then we merged our credit score matrix. And so our social credit score, which looked at biodata, location of the farmer, our agents walk the land of the farmer. So I want to bring, before I continue, you know how your mother will have 4 acres of titled land, but when she goes back and she has a little money in her pocket, the neighbor says, I need to move to get 2 more centimeters of land. She'll pay 30,000 or 300 or 400 or whatever amount, they'll give her these 20 centimeters of decimals, of meters of feet, and she will increase her land. But that land is never titled, but she'll start farming on it. So because of that, when we do production measurements, and we take this to the bank will only look at the titled land. So what our data allows you to do is that when our agent comes to your land, they will walk the entire piece of land of production. And it's from that we lift a polygon and we say, you've got 8 acres. You have 6 titled and then the 2 untitled. And your production is of 8 acres. This is how much you get at the end of the season. And because of that, this is your soil type. So aXiom also has a digital soil map. So you're able to establish what type of soil you have. We discovered recently people in Semuto who are planting matoke, because we are in Central, everybody thinks matoke will be able to grow. Unfortunately, in Semuto, the land does not yield good matoke. But we discovered because of our digital soil map that you can actually plant vegetables, tomatoes, onions, green pepper, and it will give you a lot more yield than the small stemmed matoke. So that's what the soil map does. And then, but fertilizer optimization, how much you can put into the soil. You have the soil map. So first you have the GPS. You have the production of the farmer. You have the polygon, which will tell you how much you will yield. Then you have the fertilizer, which you will put in. And then you're also able to discover how much you can get at the end of the season. With that information, then the bank will not have a reason to say, we do not know you. So now once that information is collected, we then credit score you. And that credit score is what the bank uses for you to access finance. And we have people who range between, we have the 10s, the 20s, but Centenary Bank will take anybody who is at 50. Anybody below, they'll want to grow that farmer. So 50% credit score, you know what you're planting, you know your yield. What aXiom also provides is a credit limit to the bank so that you don't, we've seen different schemes that are happening right now in Uganda where people are being given 20 million shillings when he has never touched 500,000 shillings because a government initiative is giving them money. But this particular solution allows the different parish chiefs to state and say, but according to this credit score and credit limit, you can only receive 5 million shillings because that's what you can pay back. So the credit limit is something that allows you to pay back.
Thank you. Let us take it step by step. Now that I have understood what aXiom does, it's quite a lot of services. Maybe in summary, break down the services so that I know at least when I come to your office, I can get this and this and this and this.
Well, our primary base and the biggest asset we've got is data. And it's from that data that we derive the following services. We do the Progress Out of Poverty credit score, which anybody can get, anyone can get. That is $10. Number 2, we have access to finance, where we will get your profile, give it to the bank, and the bank is able to lend you using our data that we've collected. That's another service. Number 3, access to markets. We have profiled SMEs, and that's agri-bulkers, off-takers, on-takers, who are able to buy the produce of the farmer. But remember, when we profile, we know how much you're going to yield. So we're able to give it to another agri-bulker, tell them, in that area, that sub-county, you have over 2,000 tons of maize. Do you want to buy? And then we shall be able to do that. That's market access and market linkages. The 4th thing is a digital soil map where we tell you what type of soil you have. The 5th is the fertilizer optimization tool that allows you to know how much fertilizer you can put into the soil, how much of that will yield you how much money you'll be able to earn at the end of the day, and then how much you can optimize. And by that we mean how much can you put in your land for you to yield this much. And the final services are weather-based index insurance and micro health insurance. And the reason we do this is because we've got the data, and we're also partnering with satellite companies. Now, the beauty about this is that if you have a geo point any satellite company can give you the weather and prediction of what rains you're going to get, how much precipitation, and that's why weather-based index insurance works. And then for micro health, we have data about these families. So if micro health means that you're going to insure these families' illnesses and all that, that's also possible. So that's why we bundled it and we called it the AZ bundle. So you pay just $10, which is 37,000. You pay that 37,500. You pay that, and you are put on life insurance of 6 million shillings. You also have access to 1.5 million 1.2 million as a family. Mother gets 300, father gets 300. The children, 4 children get 150 every season when they fall sick. But you'll have only put 37,000. So what we do is to try and tell the different farmers. I know that people say, Africa still lives under $2, which is not possible anymore. We evaluated it's not true. So you just prorate it, and somebody pays 5,000 today, 5,000 until the 37 is over, and they're able to be covered. And so we are looking at, that is the part where we look at the climate smart solutions.
Okay. Yes, sir. All right. Thank you so much. Those are quite a number of services, but allow me to zero down on about 3 or 4. That is the insurance, access to markets, credit scoring, and access to finance. For the 8 years you have been operating, how many farmers have you profiled, and how many of those have accessed those services?
So we have over 600,000 households today with that data. And if I put together all the services, we have about 22,000 farmers that have accessed these services. Because at times somebody will say, well, I can't. So in a season, you could get about 3,000. The first few years when we were doing this, we were working under projects. A USID project comes, they say, we want you to profile. Another project comes, we want to profile. But the solutions that were being provided were markets, access to markets, understanding the farmer, and all. So we started, I think, doing our fully fledged services about when we were in our 3rd year. And so for the last 5 years, we have, you have an average of about 12,000 farmers in a year that you sell services to. And so that 12,000 farmers, about, you could average it to 10% of the 600,000 have managed to access services, actual services. And now it's one of the most exciting things that I think for me as a data forensic scientist in my career, the best thing that has ever happened to me is we finally can give back something to the farmer, to that client. We now are giving them a digital empowerment card. All that information you've had me talk about, everything that we've got, there is a card where that person will just go and tap it at a bank, at an agri-bulker, and they will be able to access their information. I've done data collection for so many years, over 22 years, and there's never anything you leave at the farmer. I recently gave an example that we underwent a census, but what they did is they put a chalk on our gates or our doors, and they moved away. And I'm sure as of today, most of that chalk has been washed away because it's a rainy season.
Definitely.
So what is the evidence that you've been counted? Where is the evidence that anybody knows anything about you? So at aXiom, what we've done is to provide that card. That card can get you access to finance. It has your credit score. It can get you insurance. It can get you markets because it has your information of your land. So for me, that's one of the best solutions that I've ever had in the 22 years of my profession. And for aXiom, the last 8 years, that we finally have done something for the farmer. We're not just collecting data from them. We are giving them back something so that they can authentically use their data. They have to prove with a palm and their face for you to access their data, in which drives the data policy, at a very strong point.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. That's on the side of the farmers and the smallhold traders, among others. And I have had the 600,000 plus you have profiled. So on the hand of the institutions. How many institutions are you working with? How many off-takers are you working with? But I want to understand, if you have 600,000 farmers, how many entities are you connecting them to?
Okay. So for SMEs, I'll call them small, medium enterprises. Some of them are MSMEs. We have over 36,000 of them. And these have a different profiling tool. Totally, it's a business profiling tool because of the bank that we work with as well. We are working with a microfinance segment in Centenary that we went, size of land, how many employees, what's your turnover, um, what are you bulking, or what businesses. So those are the types of SMEs that we're looking at. And we've done 36,000 across the country, wherever we can. We call them agri-bulkers. And from those, the 36 are able to link to the 600,000. And we are also able to link them to different buyers, the big suppliers that are able to supply these off-takers or input dealers with whatever they need. We are also able to link the ones that bulk to, recently we were working with a Hass avocado. We had an agri-bulker that was bulking, but was also failing to sort. So we would be able to. So now they've given him the actual seed that he can now give to the different farmers. And then the Hass that he already has, now he can isolate. So that type of capacity building is also done. We have linked about 20% of our SMEs to banks, financial institutions, because that's one of the primary goals. They don't have finance to maintain the businesses. We know the situation of SMEs in Uganda. So that's one of the primary goals, accessing them to finance. So accessing them to the bank, providing their credit score, their business credit score this time, not just at an individual level, but the entire entity. About linking them to financial institutions, then linking them to bigger suppliers and buyers that can be able to facilitate the business mobility of that particular SME. So 20% of those are able to say they operate with a bigger, the outer, away from their social environment, and they're able to operate business with other bigger entities. And then the other 80% are mostly going in and working with the farmer, the clients, but they are also able to get access to the farmer, because when we get an SME, we surround them with their farmer. So if we are here and I'm an SME that is doing fertilizers, what will happen is aXiom will be able to give me, as a fertilizer input dealer, the number of farmers that are around me that are, have different crops. So we have a little table or a little screen and application where the SME is able to see I have 15,000 farmers or 10,000 farmers in my area, or 1,000 farmers near me. Most of them are in maize. So what does that tell him? Stock stuff that is in maize. Most of them need good seed. So what type of variety should I stock? So that type of projection, which helps him make more money. And then the SMSs that we send out to make sure that the farmer can actually come to him.
Thank you so much. Maybe in a more precise and concise way, make me understand, how many financial institutions accept the credit score you do?
For now, we are working with Centenary Bank. We have worked with Stanbic Bank on the one farm before, which is not operational anymore. But we're going back and we've started working with them on FlexiPay. And so with FlexiPay, it goes on. We are also working with SACCOs and microfinance institutions at the lower. So what happens is, if Centenary Bank finds that that farmer would be better faced with their own microfinance, then they advance funds to the microfinance because we've done their profile. And then the microfinance is able to use that credit score to the farmer.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. For the 8 years, what main challenges have you faced while rolling out such a huge data-driven activity?
Visibility and comprehension that there can actually be authenticity in Africa. Every time we mention aXiom Zorn, somebody's like, are you Chinese? Did you come from German?
Rightly so.
So we are Ugandan. I am Ugandan as a founder. Very Ugandan.
Maybe Ugandan with an Ugandan.
I am very Ugandan.
Okay.
And one of the biggest challenges is for somebody to say, is that so? Does that happen? Are you sure you're functional? And until we take them to the field, a couple of years we used not to, but now you ask for an example. And for example, I would like to start working in refugee settlements, because remember, they don't give them national IDs. But my Ndagamulimi, the ID, the digital empowerment card, which we've
You
dubbed
have called it what?
Ndagamulimi,
Proceed.
we think and know it can be given to a refugee. And with that card, whatever they are farming can be recognized on the card. Even when they are disbursing funds to the refugees, that card can do a lot. So, I'm open to working with refugee institutions that are working within the refugee area to make sure that we ensure that this is functional. So, visibility and accepting that, we exist and we're doing this very beautiful work is one of the hardest sells, I think, the hardest challenges. And yet we are here, we're doing all this, but walking into those boardrooms and people understanding that we actually exist and we're doing good work. So for me, my call is we are here and we want to work with everybody and we know our craft.
Great. Yes, how has the adoption of fintech helped you improve what you are doing and your overall offering?
The flexibility, and I would like to thank Bank of Uganda for the wonderful flexibility. Years ago, when I worked with Vision Fund, and when we had, at that time, we were not even MDI. There were so many rules, and I think the banking environment was very difficult to penetrate. It was just a couple of people, but look at where we are now. We have agency banking. Money is as fluid as anything. You can have no cash in your pocket, but your money is on the phone. And so understanding that fintech is not just about the exchange of mobile money. It's not just about the banking halls, but it can be an agency. It is not just about the fact that I can give money to somebody, but I'm giving a path, a conduit to access to finance. That all is into the fintech comprehension. Recently, I was asked, is aXiom a fintech or an agritech? And I said, we are both an agritech and a fintech. For as long as we facilitate the access to finance, we are a fintech. And last year, we won an award in Zambia for one of the best solutions on the Africa Fintech Summit that was in Zambia. And for me, that even made me stronger, to understand that we actually doing very good work in the fintech space. And so opening up this huge and vast innovative platform that allows so many people to innovate within, fintech and finance is a very good thing. We used to think fintech was about accountants and bankers. So it is a good thing that this has been opened up. And with that, innovations comes into play. And that's where aXiom comes in. The credit scoring, freeing up the space that anybody can be seen. It's not just the cream de la cream that must get access to loans, but everybody has the right to access finance. And it's because of the fintech space. And then the data protection policies that have been made very clear that you do not trample on people's data and use it that way, which is what most of us in the fintech space must look out for. As a data forensic scientist, I find that we still have a lot to do in that area for somebody to understand that, you just don't use my bank information because I signed into your book at the bank and then you go give it to somebody. That's how we have, the more you innovate, the more fraud there is. And that's why we have so many people starting to fleece money over the phone. So the fintech space is growing, a lot of innovations. I mean, you can hear these very nice ideas coming out of Nigeria. And Uganda is one of the next level, after Nigeria, that has very good innovation. And I applaud everyone who is doing very good work. What we have to do is to make sure that it is authentic. Let's know who we are serving. And then let's not imagine that it's just about the city. Uganda has, now we are 45 million. We have 45 million people that are looking to work with you. Let's not allow them to keep the money under the mattress. Let's give them innovative ways of utilizing the money, investing the money, using the money, whether at their farm or in their families. But let it be managed very well. We are a very rich country. If we got somebody who could mine that innovation. And so that's where aXiom comes in. How do we give visibility to the client, who is the farmer, 85% of Ugandan? And once we've given you visibility, what do you do with it?
Yeah,
Get the
thank you.
different services.
Yeah, thank you so much for that detailed presentation. But like they say, when good things come to an end, within 2 minutes, please look into your camera and present a pitch as to why farmers should work with aXiom, but even most importantly, why financial institutions should accept your solutions for supporting farmers.
It is very important to know who you're dealing with. And the only way different institutions can work with you is if they know you. Things like funds are a very difficult commodity to manage and handle. And so what aXiom brings to you is authenticity and on-ground foot soldiers that are all over to reach deep down to the roots of where the farmer comes from or the client. To the farmer, I might be the one gateway that will give you access to the different services. You've been ignored for a very long time. This is your pathway to access to services. The card that aXiom will give you will allow you to access all the services. To the financial institutions, we know that it is not your business to collect data. It is your business to give out money. It is your business to manage finances. Let us be able to lay ground for you to be able to give to the right people the right amounts. And with that, the credit scoring matrix will be a very good one for you as financial institutions. Number 2, know who your client is. Now, you might tell me you have the forms that you fill out. My data or our data at aXiom allows you to know the location of the farmer, the data. You will be able to go back. The data we give you, you will be able to access that farmer or client repeatedly because you understand them and you know the seasons and you know what they are planting. That's why our data is authentic. So working with aXiom allows you to have continuity in business, more clients, and you lend to the right people so that your NPA is at a low and everyone can pay back. To the rest of the Ugandans, you've just been counted. I will profile you, but I'll give back something to you, something that you can use to show whoever must give you a service of who exactly you are, what you're worth, and what you can access.
Thank you so much. Like you have heard from her, aXiom is aiding last mile financial inclusion through marrying data and fintech. This has been day 31 of the annual 4 Days for Fintechs initiative, season 5. Thank you so much for watching and see you soon.